Hey everyone, it's Wednesday, and that means I'm on my website, katimorton.com, and I'm also on YouTube, where you're watching me right now. So if you ask the questions either below yesterday's video or Monday's video, or was in my inbox, or was on my website under community forums, Q&A, questions for Q&A, I think it's called, then I'm answering your questions. So I'm going to try to keep this a little bit shorter so I can get through them, okay? And I have a journal topic at the end. So question number 1, my therapist just told me that she wants to start transitioning me out. This is so scary to me because I still struggle mad with self-harm or SI, self-injury, and binging and purging. Even last week I was taken to the hospital by the police for my suicidal thoughts. What can I do to make the process easier? I feel like I have to stop trusting her to make it easier when it's over. Please help. And I decided to answer this question because I get a lot of questions about, hey, my therapist wants to terminate treatment, or hey, I'm supposed to be moving from this to this, and the transition, right? I'm moving maybe I'm starting a new school. I have some of you who are starting new schools and moving, and that means a whole other set of treatment people. To be truthful, because you're still struggling, she shouldn't be transitioning you out. If there's any way to halt the process, to be like, hey, I'm still having a tough time, I would do that. Otherwise, I'd start looking for other treatment, because if you're still going to the hospital, you may even want more treatment, like a more intensive treatment, if that's possible. The best way to transition is to make sure you're given ample time. I like to give my clients 2 months, so 8 sessions. And we start processing and reflecting back on the work we've done together and how far we've come. And I encourage my clients to make lists of these things and to kind of relish in all the good things that we've been through and the things that we've worked on. And then I always let them know I'm always here. You know, you can always call. I'm not retiring anytime soon, obviously. So that's kind of how I do it. So I would encourage you to work with your therapist on that, and they should be doing it as well. So they should be helping you through it. But I would start spending your sessions talking about what you've worked on, how far you've come, and even what your plan is for afterwards. Okay? And if anybody else has any helpful hints, just let us know. Question number 2. Hey, Katie, I was wondering, is it normal to seek out triggers? This is based on my Q&A yesterday. Instead of actively trying to avoid them. I was sexually abused when I was younger, but I never told anyone. And ever since, I've become almost obsessed with reading other people's stories, watching TV shows like Law & Order SVU, etc. Even though I know that I'll be triggered. I've always felt really weird about it. That is very normal. And to be truthful, the reason that we seek it out is to normalize what we've been through and to normalize our experience and what we feel. I would encourage you to find a therapist and also to get the Courage to Heal workbook. I'll talk about that more in another video. Some of you have asked about that workbook specifically, so I will do more work on that, and that's in my video topic ideas for my Monday video. So stay tuned for that and make sure to subscribe to my channel. But it's normal to seek out triggers in a way, because that kind of thing makes us feel more normal. And sometimes we can relate to characters, and we also can feel protected by other characters, especially SVU. I know many of you, I watch it, and Olivia is like really loving and caring, and she seeks to help the people who have been fallen victim to something like that. So it's really normal, but I would encourage you to talk to a therapist. That'll really help. Question number 3. Sorry, I'm like 4, 3, I cannot count. Okay. Hey, Katie, would a therapist be more guarded, I think that's the right word, of a person with BPD? I've read that some therapists / counselors see us as a lost cause and too clingy, and they prefer not to engage with us. Love you and your videos. I love you too, thanks. It is very important when we're working with people who struggle with borderline personality disorder, BPD. It's important that we keep boundaries. Now, I guess you could see that as guarded, especially someone with BPD may feel that we're like pushing you back, but it's actually to teach you, and I guess to teach you a healthy relationship and healthy boundaries between people. You're supposed to create, as a DBT therapist, we work a lot with borderline patients. We're taught to keep the boundaries in order to teach you a healthy relationship, and so you can practice so that when things happen in your regular life outside of your therapeutic relationship, you're able to better gauge what's appropriate and what's not appropriate to do and share, etc. However, I feel that if you have something like a borderline personality disorder, eating disorder, self-harm, it's really, really best if you can find someone who specializes. Like if you have borderline personality disorder, finding a DBT therapist is key because that they find that to be the most beneficial for us. As far as people seeing you too clingy and they prefer not to engage, some people don't see borderline patients because it's a lot of work for us as a therapist and for you as the patient. It's really intensive, like I've talked about before. So I actually prefer people to say, no, I don't work with them, than to take you on as a client and then not do it justice, right? And not give you a good experience. And I talk about this actually in my borderline personality disorder video. So if you want to search that on my channel, you can hear more about this. But it is, I would try to find a specialist. And some people do jump to conclusions and judge people based on diagnoses. And I find that really disheartening and terrible. And they probably shouldn't be in the mental health field. Right? I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm saying. Okay, last question, question number 4. Is bullying considered traumatic? Yes. Honestly, we can get PTSD and we can be traumatized from many various things in our life. If anything, we find we think about a lot. It gets us anxious just thinking about the experience. We find it to be overwhelming. We can cry about it. We can... Any kind of the PTSD-like symptoms, which I have a video on that too, if you're wondering, can come from any number of things. I've had people have PTSD from witnessing a car crash to actually being in a car crash to being bullied. I have many people who've been cyberbullied, and that they find that really terrible and really hurtful. And you're not alone, and it is very traumatic. And I think, to be honest, the best thing is to see a therapist. Obviously, CBT works best for people who struggle with any kind of PTSD, and groups are amazing because it can help us so much just to hear other people's stories and know that we're not alone, and that us feeling hurt and upset and overwhelmed and anxious and all the things that can come along with that, trouble sleeping, to know that that's normal and that that's a regular human response and it's okay to feel that way can just feel really good. So I would encourage you to do that. Now, the journal topic today, I love this quote, okay? I'm a quoteaholic. I don't know if that's a word, but I just made it up. So yes, it's now a word. I'm coining it. Quoteaholic. Accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get where you want to go and no one else. It's by Les Brown. So I really like this because sometimes it's good for me to think about the things that are my responsibility. I'm responsible for putting out videos 5 days a week. I'm responsible for commenting on as many comments as I can and getting back to as many of you as I can. I'm responsible for my clients. I'm responsible for my response to people being rude or aggressive or friendly or whatever to me, right? But what am I not responsible for? And I would encourage each of you to start making lists of things that have happened, that maybe you were triggered, you had a really bad day. What were you responsible for and what were they responsible for? What did you not have control over? Because that can honestly lift that weight that we feel sometimes off our shoulders and help us realize what we can control, what we can work on, and what we're responsible for and what we're not. So I would encourage you to do that. And share, as always. I like to hear, you can just make your list and then put like a hash in the middle, and that'll be what you're not, or what you're responsible for and what you're not responsible for, or whatever. I will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. I'll be on Twitter. So ask your questions and I will answer them. I love you all. See you then. Bye.